Okay, welcome everybody. This is Grandmaster Alex Lenderman with the fifth part of the video series on the topic of Carlsbad structures. And again, in this video, we're going to see some nice examples from the black side. And we're going to start with the game Gelfand against Ivanchuk from 1993. And Gelfand started with d4, Ivanchuk's knight of 6. And we get to the typical Queen's Gambit declined structure. Knight of 8. c6, h3. Yeah, and Gelfand played this move h3, which is in some ways to maybe try to play bishop f4, bishop h2, in case the bishop gets attacked. Black played g6, rook b1 now, knight e6, and bishop h6. Another idea was to try to stop knight g4. That's also the main idea of h3. Because otherwise, if you would have played bishop h6, black could play knight g4. Knight g7, typical idea, which is in order to try to play bishop f5 and trade off the bishops. b4, a6, important move, and now knight a4 is interesting. White played a4, black traded the bishops, and now white played knight e5, which is a novelty at that point, but it was inaccurate. Black played rook c8, equalizing. White took the bishop, and he took back with the knight, and he played rook b3. And now black played bishop d6. Actually, the interesting thing is that even when white gets in b5, when black has a strong bishop, it doesn't always lead to something very effective. And we'll see other ways how b5 could actually be allowed, but it could be dealt with in a very nice way. So white played b5, but he did it too quickly. Because what he allowed was, he allowed this nice operation which gave black a very nice passed pawn. And even though d5 could be a little weak in some cases, but can't really be attacked, and the a5 pawn is really going to be very strong. And we'll see how the game continued. Queen b2, b6, and black's already much better. Knight e4, c4, rook a1, knight e4, f3, knight g3, knight e5, bishop takes e5, d takes e5, queen c7, king h2, knight f5, f4, rook c2, and black already clearly gets the upper hand because he has control over the c file and he's going to get some attack. So white traded rooks only way, because if rook takes b2, rook takes c7. But it's not much help because now the e3 pawn's hanging and black gets another passed pawn. Knight takes b6 doesn't help because of d3, and then d2, and then knight f1 check is the idea. So black had to go rook a3, knight c4, rook here, rook d8, and the rest is a matter of simple technique. g5 undermining the space, and here white just resigned. This is the game now between Nesterov, 2460, and Geller, 2490. Now Geller was 2490 only because he was older at this point. Obviously he's one of the most famous chess players in the world, and achieved really high status, but that was later in his career, and so we'll see how older Geller was able to outplay another player at roughly his level. So d4, d5, c4, e6, knight c3, bishop e7, and we soon get to a Queen's Gambit. And this game, white decided to trade the bishops off right away. So we'll see how black handles this kind of position. e3 castles, cd, ed. So let's see how black handles this pawn structure. b4, c6, bishop e2, bishop e6, castles, knight d7, rook c1, queen e7, white played queen b3, rook c8, a4, a5. Strong move. So another way to try to combat the pawn minority attack is by playing a5 yourself and challenging the pawn and creating crisis right away. Because now the point is that if b5, then queen b4 would be very strong with already a lot of good counterplay. So white took, trying to take advantage of the fact that for now the pawn is hanging. But after rook b8, now the pawn cannot be protected on a5, and black's actually going to be doing quite well. So rook cb8, queen c2, rook takes a5, knight d2, rook a8, knight b3, rook c8, rook d1, and now black breaks with c5. Typical idea, and especially it's useful when black has a two-bishop advantage. That's often a typical way to play when you have a 2-bishop advantage. Takes, takes, bishop f3. So white's trying to get counterplay on the d5 square, but now knight takes a4, the a4 pawn is hanging, and the c3 knight is attacked. Takes, takes, and black just won, because after knight takes e7, bishop takes e7, takes, bishop takes b3, black's actually winning a piece. So, as it turned out, the bishops were very strong, and when the game got open, they really became powerful. And white simply lost track of the complications and just ended up going for a very bad position. So that's another way to try to really combat the murder attack, especially with the 2 bishops. a5, very nice idea. Another game I wanted to show you is another game by 2 players. And this is a game between Pronozyuk and Kravtsev. So in this game, d4, and black played knight f6, c4, e6, knight c3, d5, bishop g5, bishop e7, e3, castles, knight f3, knight d7, takes, takes, so on and so forth. We're gonna get through this moment quickly. Yeah, maybe b5 was interesting. b5 would allow c5 though, so it wasn't that great. So knight e2, bishop e7 would be good. Black played the move queen d6, and now rook c1, bishop d7, and now b5, again premature. And what this leads to is rook c8. And even though white actually got his plan in, but again, when black has 2 bishops and is able to actually break through with c5, this whole plan with b5 becomes a little bit premature and sometimes not very effective. So after takes, takes, rook b6, rook cb8, takes, takes, rook a1, c5, rook a6. Because black was able to break through c5, this pawn ended up now becoming very weak. And even though d5 could become weak in some cases, but the problem is because of this bishops, and black has all this good play, black's still doing quite well. Knight c3, knight c7. Here actually black made some tactical mistakes. He should play bishop e6, for example, or something, or maybe even cd. But instead he played queen d6. Here actually d takes c5 would be good, but the point is that I wanted to show you the idea, but tactical execution wasn't perfect in this game. But eventually black ended up winning anyway. The point is that black was better because he was able to get breakthrough with c5. So the idea is if you can get a5 or c5 in a good way, especially when you have 2 bishops, very often b5 is not the most scary plan. So it could be an effective plan, but it doesn't always lead to very much good effect. And now I want to show you a couple of more games with some interesting ideas for black. And this game is between Furman Abramovich and Klovans Janis, 2 Soviet masters back in 1964. c4, knight f6, d4, e6. And once again, we're going to get a Queen's Gambit decline structure. And theory. And okay, black actually did not play the best way, but this game shows like what danger you can actually fall into if you play a little bit carelessly from the white side. So here, bishop takes e4 is good, or maybe even early b5, because here black does not have 2 bishops. Black should be doing quite fine. But instead he played rook fe1, which really doesn't really do very much. Black played this and then played bishop g4. And here already black is actually doing quite well, because he potentially might get rid of his problem bishop. And after white moved away, black played rook c8, which stops b5 now. So for now, shutting down white's play. And after rook bc1, knight h4. This is the idea I wanted to show you guys. Another way you can play as black. Sometimes when you have this bishop on g4, knight h4, black actually can also play for a very nice kingside attack, which is not very common, but even with only 2 pieces and a queen and a rook, you can actually able to generate a lot of kingside attack if white doesn't get a chance to get his queenside play in very quickly. And after bishop f1, queen g5, king h1, rook e6, turned out black actually has pretty good initiative. And now if f3, bishop h3, rook e2, rook g6, g3, bishop takes, rook takes, knight f5. Black already has a lot of initiative. And of course, if f3, if you take this, then rook g6, there's no stopping from the mate. So therefore, e4, de, and now rook takes e4 was probably a lesser of the evil, trying to at least trade off this dangerous rook. But after knight takes e4, queen f4, at c5, also a mistake. Black won this game with a really nice attack. So the mate on h2 is threatened. So this does not work, because after takes, bishop g2 only move, rook h6, queen takes h2 is a threat, and h3, rook takes h3, there's going to be a mating attack. So therefore black had to go there, and then after rook h6, threatening checkmate again, even ignoring the queen. h3, rook takes, queen h6. Black won with a very nice mating attack. So you might think that the position is simple and, you know, all that matters here is long-term positional play and long-term play, but as you could see, you know, you can even get into trouble short-term as well. You know, it doesn't take too many inaccuracies before you can really get into heavy fire, heavy initiative. So even with white, you have to be somewhat careful and look at least at the lookout for black's ideas. And here's another game to demonstrate that fact. So this game is between Khalifman with black and the slightly weaker player from an open tournament. So d4, knight f6, and the lower rated player doesn't quite sense the danger. But anyway, this is again very instructive because you'll be able to know how to outplay weaker club players or even stronger club players with these ideas. So black played an early knight e4, b4, a6, always important, a4, knight g6, and now white played knight d2, which is too passive and leaves the kingside without a defender. So again, bishop takes e4 would be interesting with the idea of knight d2, perhaps also just early b5. But knight d2, this kind of idea could be very dangerous because now again, knight h4 comes and now there's the bishop h3 threat, and you can end up being left without control over no attack. And now white had to play king h1 with equality. And here he still can play rook g1 and keeping the game under control. But one more mistake and the game is going to be over. So white played a really bad move, knight e2, trying to defend the king side, but in fact it doesn't defend against a very important threat. So I'm going to give you guys some time to try to see if you can find it. What is the best move for black here? So if you need more time, keep your videos paused. And a very strong move for black would be here, bishop h3. And after this, black is just simply winning. Because of course taking is impossible because of knight f3. And bishop takes g2 is a threat, and black's just winning. So white played queen c2. Of course this is no help because black just takes, followed by knight f3. So white had to go queen c2, bishop takes g2, rook c1, and bishop a4. And of course this is just a mop-up, black's just up a pawn, knight g3, knight f3, king f1, queen h4, takes, b5, ab, queen h3, king e2, queen g4, king f1. And now, as they call it, the fifth strength in Russian, as added to the attack. You know, once you get to a point where, you know, your attack seems to go on a standstill with your pieces, sometimes it's a good idea to add new forces. But adding a rook could be tricky because, let's say after this, maybe I could take, and then I can play like say d5, and there could be back rank things. Not as clear. So very often the pawn adds a decisive attacker. Why? Because, you know, the pawn dislodges the only defender of the knight, and then the game just gets completely fallen apart for white. And after white took, white just resigned because h4 can't be stopped, and basically the mate is going to be unstoppable. So these two videos from the black's perspective show that white in fact also has to be careful, and white can run into short-term danger, long-term danger, white can be left without counterplay. There are a lot of bad things that can happen from the white side as well, or for the side who's playing with the minority attack. So keep that in mind when you play from either side, and just remember that, you know, it's not always just so easy and comfortable for either side. So we're going to be having one more video on this topic, Carlsbad structures, and that's going to be on actually some examples where you get Carlsbad structures from different types of openings besides Queen's Gambit declined, sometimes even reverse colors. So we'll see some examples like that as well. And this is also why I wanted to do a lot on this topic, because even though not everybody plays Queen's Gambit declined, there are a lot of people who, let's say, play the Caro-Kann or play some other openings, and there are a lot of other openings that can actually transpose into these kind of structures. So it's good to know this general education. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and until next time, this is Grandmaster Alex Lenderman signing off. Take care.